I don't know. I don't know. I know I wanted to do these intros. I wanted to do these little clever bits to introduce these videos, but it's like watching this creatively bankrupt show has just sapped my creativity. Can't come up with anything. Feel like a failure. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is NCIS Season 20, Episode 16, The Butterfly Effect. This one was okay. Decently set up, I guess. I think the only problem I really had with it was that it was very predictable, and also the bald eagle storyline was just kind of pointless. It was just there. They referenced it a few times. They talked about that whole, oh, if we just put positive energy into the world, maybe that'll make things okay. And then the babies hatched out of the eggs. That was exciting, wasn't it? But no, the case in this one, it started very interestingly. You know, you got this whole, why are people just suddenly getting knocked out by this gas? You know, is it a bioterror attack? Like, what's going on? And then once you sort of start to narrow it down, realize that it's about robbing this one guy, realize that he's got a lot of codes to all these powerful people, it kind of gets a little bit more streamlined. The problem is that I kind of figured everything out, maybe even before halfway through the episode. I already knew it was going to be the one guy with the head injury. He's way too random to not be important. When he's just sitting there in the hospital talking on the phone, oh, honey, I love you so much. I'm like, he's not talking to his wife. He's talking to maybe a partner, maybe somebody that's working with him because he's the one that did this. I'm positive. And then they find out it's the girl, and they find out somebody kidnapped her dad. I'm like, well, then it's the guy. He was there to keep an eye on her. It's him. And then by the end of it, it's him. They also find out the house that was being targeted was this woman who I think they said was an ambassador to Ukraine. And obviously, since this came out in 2023, I'm like, okay, so this guy's probably connected to Russia, right? That was it. It's just so predictable. And I don't know if that's what they're trying to lean towards, is all three of these Russian sleeper agents that they've encountered, now four, are all going after this senator. And so I don't know if they're leaning into this whole Russia invading Ukraine thing that happened in real life, and they're going to have it happen in the show as well, because they're not mentioning that. They're not talking about that happening. So I'm guessing in the show, Russia has not invaded Ukraine. So I don't know if they're going to, I guess, focus on that. And probably, I mean, knowing the writers of the show and how they've handled real events in our world and the show in the past, I think I know which way they're going to go in all of this. But if they do end up doing that and focusing on that heavily, it's going to be a little frustrating. It's another example of something that happened in real life I'm kind of here to escape from. That's what fiction is for most of the time, is escaping from reality. And if we're just going to focus on reality in these shows, then why am I here if not to escape from this and then get thrown right back into reality? So we'll see if that's what they end up doing with it. Kind of hoping not. The stuff with Knight's father, really just kind of uneventful. You know, he ends up in a bike accident, and then all of a sudden he's going in for surgery because he had some sort of issue breathing, and now all of a sudden there's concern he might die, and all I could think is he's not going to. I mean, they wouldn't handle it like this, right? The death of a main character's father, they wouldn't just do it in like oh, he went into the hospital because he fractured his arm. Oh no, he's actually sicker than we thought. Oh no, he died during surgery. I'm sorry, Jess. Like, that would just be stupid. So I was never really concerned about this story. I don't know if it's going to lead anywhere necessarily. I mean, obviously we've not met Jess's father, I'm pretty sure. So because of that, it just sort of felt random that this was going on. If it comes back later, then I guess it's sort of the build up to that moment. But yeah, for the time being, it feels like a very random side story in this episode. With all that being said, that's it for this one. On to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now episode 17, Stranger in a Strange Land. This one was also just sort of okay. There's definitely a message that they're going for here that I'm sure at the time this came out is definitely a big talking point, and I guess still kind of is a talking point now. I'm not going to get into the whole debate of immigration, but I will say, as always, there is a lot more gray area than shows like this like to give credit for. They're just kind of uneventful. You know, Mateen being set up as a fall guy to basically kind of raise the alarm bells and be like, oh, we need to get these immigrants out of here, and that's basically all it boils down to. It's just very simplistic. Even the mystery, I felt like, you know, there was only a couple of people that we met that could possibly be the ones that are doing this, and that's it. You know, like there wasn't really anything else that was involved in this. It was just very straightforward. I compare it to the last episode where I predicted kind of everything that was going to happen, it wasn't straightforward. It's just I know the formula, so I was able to predict whenever that random guy shows up on the phone that he's probably going to be the bad guy because that's how these shows go. In this case, there wasn't even really much of a mystery. It was just you have Mateen, he's being framed, and so the other two people that are running this place are the ones framing him, and those are really the only options as far as possible culprits. So it felt like there was just not a whole lot of thought put into this episode. It was just mostly focused on we're going to get this message across that we want to get, and then they didn't really even try to make the story itself that interesting. On top of that, you got the other two side stories. One is kind of connected with Torres and this one girl, kind of connecting about Torres's past and coming over from another country. I think this was probably the strongest part of the episode, in all honesty, because Torres is not one that we get a lot of depth of character with most of the time. He's very surface level in most episodes. So the episodes where we get to go a little bit deeper with him, actually explore him as a character, I think is typically his best moments to shine. I think we had some good moments here with him. What is kind of funny is they seem to be setting up something possibly with him and this doctor that helped save his life. And all I could think is, it kind of feels like they don't know what to do with him after Bishop. You know, like I already thought it was a little weird putting him and Bishop together because they felt more like a brother and sister type of combo. But now it feels like they just don't know what to do with him anymore. And so he was talking to that one girl from NCIS Hawaii. And obviously they're not going to put them together because how would you do a relationship with two characters on two different shows? So that's something that's kind of been there but not really focused on, and now all of a sudden it's just like he's talking to his daughter and chatting her up. Granted, maybe something happened in the crossover that I missed because I didn't watch the other two episodes, so maybe they sort of talked about it and they're like, you know what, this isn't gonna work. We can't be together whenever we're in two separate states, and one of the states being Hawaii. But it's still just kind of funny that like they just don't know what to do with him romantically, so just have him flirting with these random women that pop up in these episodes. But then, of course, the other side story was just so cliche. Jimmy's daughter is talking to a boy and they're going to go out on a group date, and oh no, what's Jimmy going to do? And of course, he's the overprotective father who doesn't want his little girl to be around boys because she's too young, and he's gonna talk to this kid and he's gonna have his scalpel and try to scare him, and then what happens? Well, Vance talks sense into him and makes him realize, hey, you have to trust her. Oh, wow, that's so shocking. I've never heard that before, except for maybe 500 times in other shows that have done this exact same storyline. Like, it's just so done to death. I mean, I almost feel like we've seen this before with another character on this show, maybe. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but didn't Vance go through this story before? Like, didn't we see that, or am I thinking of something else? But it's not that interesting. Like I said, it's a cliche. So why do we have to do it? Why do we have to spend time on that? I think that's about it for this episode, so on to the final of these three. I'll see you there. And finally, episode 18, Head Games. So I think this one probably had the best premise and mostly the best execution out of these three episodes. The only problem that I have with it is it's kind of a dumb plan. It's clever in some sense in how he set it up. Maybe the idea is he didn't know it was going to lead to a point where she would try to kill him. But that's kind of the big problem, is all of this led to she tried to kill him, and he got lucky that she didn't. So maybe he just didn't think that through. Maybe he didn't think it would get that far. But yeah, that's the biggest plot hole for me. They don't really address it. Maybe there was a line thrown in that I just missed, but they never talked about that fact. But other than that, like I said, the story itself was pretty interesting. You know, just this woman who stabs her husband, doesn't remember doing it at all. There's an interesting concept there that I think sets up for a good, intriguing mystery to figure out who did it, why did they do it, and there's a lot of potential that I think they explored pretty well in this episode. The side story in this one, unfortunately, is just not that interesting because it's another Casey story. So what did we learn about her? Absolutely nothing. But basically, she's doing this long list of things that she wanted to do before she died because she might have the Alzheimer's or dementia gene. Don't remember which one it is now. And so she's just trying to do all this stuff before she forgets. And of course, people are like, okay, you might be overdoing it. And then by the end of it, she talks to Vance, who apparently had a scare with cancer. Found out that he wasn't, but also came to the realization that he should still be enjoying life to the fullest. And so that's what she takes from it. And so she decides not to find out whether or not she's got the gene that might lead to that in the future. So nothing was really learned here. She just learned to appreciate life a little bit more, and that was it. I just feel like that's always the problem with Casey's stories, is that they do the bare minimum. They just have these stories that don't really delve into her character that much, don't really give her much else to do. This is a very simplistic story. Like, if she did find out that she had the gene, that would be something interesting that she'd have to deal with. And then her coming to the realization of living life to the fullest might hit a little bit harder. But her coming to this realization before she finds out, and then she doesn't even find out whether or not she's got the gene, it just kind of makes it okay, so now she appreciates life a little bit more. There's not much else outside of that. And the problem is she's already gone through several other instances of life endangering events that could have killed her. And so for her to go through this now and find out she might have this gene that could cause Alzheimer's or dementia, that to me is like, okay, so was she not appreciating life before? The amount of times she's nearly died, she didn't have this mindset of, I should live life to the fullest because I could die tomorrow in the job that we work in. So why all of a sudden is suddenly like the light bulb clicked on and like, oh yeah, this is what I should do? It just doesn't make much sense. I think that's about it for this one. So 3 episodes that were a little substandard, if I'm being perfectly honest. Third one was decent enough, just the side story made it a little substandard for me. But with all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, or your thoughts on these 3 episodes. Let me know. We can talk about, discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future NCIS reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here as well as some Let's Plays, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you all later. Peace out.